So I remember when was I? I went to your birthday shindig.
Yeah.
That made me so happy walking in
Did
there.
it?
With all those
told me the other day.
Nigerian, all them Africans in there, I was like, man, I walked in there, that was dope.
Was
That made
it?
me really happy to see so many people of color in one spot. But it wasn't just like hip hop, it was just like, this is African culture, a lot of it,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
It kind of scared me to do it because I was like, I really, really want to do something for my birthday,
Mhm.
and I want to show my friends a lot of myself.
Mhm.
And I'm very much into like 70s disco.
Yeah.
And music is a big part of who I am, and
Okay.
same with my Nigerian culture. So I was like, there's never any parties that I can go to, so I'm just gonna
Right.
throw one myself.
Right.
Have my cousin cater all the Nigerian food,
Mhm.
and really just like go all out with it.
Yeah.
And just like tapped into my network. So I'm like, I know it's the Monday after Coachella.
Right.
I'm going to Coachella too,
Uh-huh.
so I will be there just.
You
as
went the second
tired.
weekend or the first
It was
weekend?
right after the first weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
And someone stopped me the other day, one of my girlfriends, and she was like, wow, I really wanted to say, like, you should do that, like, monthly. I was like, girl, I can't. But people loved, I guess they were like, I've never heard that music in a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I
surprising because
I
it's
kind of
all
want to
time.
go somewhere where they playing Fela Kuti and it's just normal.
And it's just normal.
Like, you know what I mean? I want to go somewhere where Fela Kuti is blasting and it's just like, okay, yeah, this is a thing.
Yeah.
It's a regular thing, and it's not like I don't see that a lot. You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't happen that much, especially in LA. But when you go to New York,
Oh yeah.
yeah, when you go to New York, it's all over New York. Even when you're in London,
Yeah.
it's all over there as well too.
Uh-huh.
But here, I think there's just so many different Africans. and
Yeah.
One of the things that kind of just like bothers me is like, how do we all connect?
Uh-huh.
How do we all breed some type of culture here? Being that like we're all smart, we're all doing
Right.
things. But it just doesn't seem to connect. On
There's
one
no
level.
connection. There's no connection.
Not
There's
on the
not a.
West Coast.
I don't feel there's a sense of
Thank
community.
you.
Um,
It's very spread out and
it is.
diverse.
Mhm.
I wouldn't even call it cliquish,
It feels cliquish to me. I've always made this joke that LA is like a high school cafeteria. Like, this group sits over here, this group sits over there, and so on and so forth. I feel like that's how it is in LA. It's a
Where'd you grow up?
That's a tough question. Well, I was born in LA, and I was here till I was like 7 years old, and then I left. My mother took me and my sisters to Palmdale, so I lived in Palmdale from the age like 7 or 8 up until 16 or 17, and then at 17 I left to go to prep school on the East Coast. So that's kind of I guess that means I grew up in Palmdale. I feel like if you went to high school there, that's where you grew up, I guess. So I guess. But I went to high school in Palmdale and in Virginia and in Massachusetts. So I don't know. But yeah. Back to you. Okay, because I see how you did that. Look, I like how you did that switcheroo. That was
I have
you
a
you
really
slick.
habit of doing that.
I like how you did that switcheroo. That was
That's just
nice.
how I get to like
Uh-huh.
touch people.
Uh-huh.
You get to know who they are.
That's true.
It happens a lot.
And that's what it's about.
That's what it's
You gotta
about.
Get to know people, yeah.
Where are your parents from?
My parents are both from Delta State.
Okay.
So they are Shakiri, which is a smaller tribe.
It is.
Closely related to Yoruba.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For people that know what Yoruba and Shikiri, those are tribes in Nigeria.
Yes.
Niger. My father is he's Igbo. So he's from Asaba. Or yeah. So that means I'm black and blacker. So my mom's black. my dad is Nigerian. There's this question I like to ask people who are African, and I was talking to Sylvanus about this one time a while ago. But there's this phrase, African American.
Yeah.
For black people whose parents are not from
Yeah.
the continent of Africa, they're used to be calling, okay, I'm African American because I'm black. my ancestors hail from Africa.
Yeah.
But what is a person whose parents are from Africa who were raised in America? I mean, they're African American too.
Yeah. So for me, I kind of just like rejected whatever like the U.S. Census Bureau wants to provide me.
Right.
And I'll fill in the bubbles per, the most appropriate. But for me, I've always felt like I'm Nigerian, and at times I have to say American because I grew up here, but I always, when people always ask me, I was like, I grew up in a very, very traditional African home. So there's certain things that like I didn't even know about until I was like among a lot of Western people, and it was pointed out that like, oh, actually it's like this way. None of my friends even growing up were Black until I got to college, because I grew up in the suburbs, which was like, people are like, oh, well, you didn't grow up in the hood. No, I did not. I didn't. But I grew up isolated, and like, in a very protected home, where I learned certain traditional values and just how to do things, and was really, really stuck in that place. And so I didn't get to go to a lot of friends' sleepovers, or I didn't get to like hang out with friends. So I was in the library a lot, like reading, and I kind of missed out on those opportunities. But I think I would call myself a Nigerian American. I just, like, even when we say Black or we say African or we say African American, I think like people, it's going to be how you're raised and how you grew up and where you grew up and how you choose to define yourself. I don't think there's one label that's going to fit everybody. I think the bigger part behind that question that gets so loaded is, whether people who do have that high melanin want to really associate themselves with Africa.
Right.
That's probably like the bigger question.
Right.
They want to define themselves as African American. Because even first generation Nigerians who grew up here are saying, here's in the U.S., they're saying I'm Nigerian before they'll say I'm American.
Right.
And
right. I'll tell people,
with where you grew up.
Exactly.
And it's even hard to tell for some people, because it's not that they've assimilated, but we blend in so well.
That's true. My upbringing was very similar to yours. It was very traditional upbringing of, I guess, of a salon bobo. But my father tried incorporating a lot of American lifestyle into it, but it was the same thing with me. I stayed in the libraries, stayed in the house, couldn't go associate with friends on the weekends as much as I would like, or even ever.
Because it just didn't make sense to my parents that I'd go spend the night and eat someone else's food when I had my own bed and food in the house.
Exactly.
That's it.
And I was a latchkey kid, so my dad worked often, so I went home and had to stay in the home until he came home, really. And that was my family dynamic, really. So yeah, I relate to that. Were you born in Nigeria?
No, I was born here, and people think I'm just born there. And I think sometimes too I say certain words like my parents. So like, oh, you have an accent. I'm like, I definitely do not have an accent.
Right, you haven't heard an accent.
Yeah.
If you think that's an accent.
You haven't seen my parents or heard my parents. But I also love that because I can understand anybody.
Yeah.
Because of like being transversed through so many different languages. Like I have family who are half Nigerian, half Swedish, or they're quarter Swedish, and then some who are Swedish, Nigerian, and German, and then my dad speaks French, English, Spanish, Shakiri, Yoruba, and Igbo. So like I've heard so many different languages and so many different phonetics where I'm like, you could get by, and then even hearing pidgin English all your life, I mean, which is like really hard to understand for certain people that has like a
pidgin English is like, every time I would hear my dad speak pidgin, I wanted to know how to speak that because it sounded cool to me. It was just like, you know what I mean?
It's just honestly imitation. If you can imitate, and if you listen, and the more you hear some of the words, you understand where they're placed, why they're placed there. Yeah, they're just like sounds that take place of like words.
Right.
Like a hiss says so much more
Mm-hmm.
than
Yeah.
you know being exact about the words.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Saw that I wasn't doing my best and I wasn't happy.
Mm-hmm.
They were like okay with me figuring out what's next.
Okay.
So I am like one of the off-brand, I would say, kids who, you know, took like the fun route going into entertainment.
I don't really look at you as like off-brand Nigerian girl.
Well, from not being like a doctor. Not
Yeah,
being
I get what you mean by that. But I do want to say that you carry yourself with the kind of professionalism that somebody of that kind of with that kind of degree or level of education has. I didn't go to law school the traditional way that a Nigerian parent would want. I mean, I went to law school, graduated, passed the bar. I'm a lawyer now, but the way I got through that process was a very unorthodox way.
Yeah.
I mean, I got kicked out of so many schools. I was getting into trouble in prep school, left and right. You know what I mean? I was messing up all over the place. I mean, I had my twin sons very young. I had them at I was 20 when they were born. So before I even started law school, they were 5 years old, 6 years old by the time I started law school. You know, wasn't married. Very untraditional. You know what I mean?
But are you talking about law school being untraditional?
No, not law school. Law school's not untraditional for a Nigerian kid. And number two, my father didn't really raise me. Okay? There was a period from age 14 all the way to 21 where I hadn't seen or spoke to my father. The way I got back in touch with my father is a whole different. That's a story in and of itself. But I got to law school because I decided that I didn't want to play basketball anymore, and I knew that I wanted to get into a profession that I would be great at, that I could make a difference in, and that I could do until I was old.
Yeah.
And I knew, like, man, I could be a great lawyer until I'm 70 years old. You know what I mean? In my decision, it was a fork in the road. I said, I'm not going to play basketball anymore because if I do play basketball, I'm going to play overseas. And if I play basketball overseas, I'm never going to see my kids. So I said, okay, I'm either going to get my MBA or I'm going to get a law degree. I decided to go to law school because of a business law class I was taking in college at the time. And
that was one of the ones that made me not do it. Business law.
Yeah. Business law. I think.
Like, oh no.
Yeah, you got to either love it or you got to either love it or don't do it.
What?
There are a lot of people.
Black and white.
Exactly. See, it ain't black and white. And that's what I love. I love that you can. There's creativity in law.
That's also not good.
It's beautiful though. I think it's beautiful. There's creativity in law because that means the underdog always has a chance. From the way I look at it, the person who has nothing always has a way to make a way. That's how I look at it, and that's beautiful to me.